Hand, foot, and mouth disease. The first signs of symptoms.
Hi, Evan. So, Brittany got sent home with a letter today from school. She has a fever apparently of 103, and I checked her out and I noticed that she has a rash. Have you noticed it, either?
You know what? I did notice that she had a rash on her feet. Do you think we should take her to the doctor then?
Brittany?
Yes, Mom?
Hey. So, the school nurse says that you've been feeling sick recently.
Yeah, my throat really hurts, and then she said something about fever, but I don't know what that means.
Well, this rash right here, has that been bothering you?
It really itches, but I'm not sure how I got it. It just kind of appeared.
Okay. Yeah, Evan, I think we should take her to the doctor.
Off to the doctor's office.
Hi, Brittany. Remember me? I'm Dr. Theriault. Seems you haven't been feeling well. What's been going on?
Well, I have this rash, like, all over my hands.
Yes, my wife and I noticed that she had this rash on her hands and feet yesterday, and she went to school and she was sent home with a high fever, and she's not eating at all because her throat's bothering her too.
Alright, could I take a look? Stick out your tongue and say, Let's see, you've got a fever, sores in your throat, and rashes on your hands and feet. It seems to me, Evan, that your daughter probably has hand, foot, and mouth disease. I'm going to run a test just to make sure. I'm going to take a sample from some of the blisters on her hands, but I could as well from the sores in your throat.
Are my wife and I at risk of getting this?
If this is hand, foot, and mouth disease, adults can be infected but are generally asymptomatic. The only way to really prevent this disease is to keep proper hygiene. The disease is shed through feces. Make sure you wash your hands plenty and her as well. We'll call you when we have a solid answer. It shouldn't take more than a few days. In the meantime, give her some pain medication, some over-the-counter ones, but definitely not aspirin. And Brittany, I know it hurts, but you have to remember to keep drinking water, fluids, Pedialyte, for example, and then make sure you eat well.
The laboratory.
Look at this lab test. We haven't seen one like this in a while. It looks like the patient has Coxsackie virus A16, otherwise known as hand, foot, and mouth disease.
I agree, Brittany. These microbes are small icosahedral, non-enveloped, positive-sense ssRNA viruses. Hopefully this child hasn't spread the disease yet, since it is spread through horizontal transmission.
What does that all mean?
Well, an icosahedron is a polyhedral with 20 faces. Non-enveloped refers to the virus lacking an outer membrane. And ssRNA is single-stranded RNA. Do you have any other questions, Christian?
What damage does this virus cause in the patients?
Hey gang, you guys want a Diet Dr. Pepper?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, after entry, the microbes attach to ICAM1 receptors that are found in oropharyngeal mucosa and lymphoid tissues. That causes bumps in the mouth and on the skin. Like other viruses, its replication ends in cell lysis.
I'm going to call Dr. Theriault and let him know of the official diagnosis for the patient.
The official diagnosis.
Hello? Oh, hi, doctor. Oh, yeah, 1 second. Let me put it on speakerphone so everyone can hear too. Alright, you're on.
Your daughter has contracted hand, foot, and mouth disease, which is a human enterovirus species A, primarily CA16 and EV71. They cause mild symptoms, but rarely the EV71 has been associated with neurological disease and mortality in large outbreaks. Just monitor her motor skills, and if they get worse, take her to the hospital immediately.
Yeah, thankfully she hasn't shown any signs of neurological damage, but we'll keep an eye on her to make sure it doesn't get worse and that she doesn't spread it to more people.
A fellow classmate with hand, foot, and mouth disease. One of your fellow classmates over the summer, Kara Horvath, contracted hand, foot, and mouth disease. Brittany and Evan are here to interview her.
Kara, what were your initial symptoms and what did you do?
Well, the first day I realized I wasn't feeling well. I came home from work having a really high fever, and I didn't know why. I just thought I was just coming down with some sort of sickness. But when I took my temperature, it was 103.3 degrees, and I was like, well, that's not normal. So I ended up going to the hospital. The next day, I started feeling like itchiness all over my hands, and I didn't know what it was. I thought I just broke out into a rash or something, but the itching progressed, and then it started on my feet. They were like small, like red dots, and I couldn't find anything to help like soothe the itchiness.
Now, when you first went to the doctor, did they know what it was right away, or did it take them a while to figure it out?
They didn't know exactly what it was, because my throat was kind of sore as well, so they thought it was strep. But they did the strep throat test, and it was actually, they tested negative for it. And then they put me, just in case they thought I could have had a bacterial infection, so they put me on an antibiotic, which obviously didn't help because hand, foot, and mouth disease is a virus. And then that Saturday, we called my doctor, and he told me that we actually thought I had a reaction to the medication that I was on, but it wasn't. He said that was unusual for azithromycin to have that sort of reaction. So he just told me it's probably hand, foot, and mouth disease, and that's what it was.
So hand, foot, and mouth disease is usually asymptomatic in adults. It's usually found in children. So how do you think you contracted this illness?
I work at Office Max, and there's a lot of kids around during back to school, so I think like one of the kids probably sneezed on me or something, and I didn't know it.
So if you could sum up this disease with one word, what would you use?
I'd definitely say sucky.
Thank you, Kara.